Welcome, 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 y'all. Cassandra, aka the Freaky Witch, and I have decided to come together to bring y'all some tarot astrological litness. Cassandra's on her way into this live right now, as we have been working for this for the past 20 to 30 minutes, but now, this beautiful, glorious time, it's gonna work. So we're going to talk to y'all about this Cancer energy, about these retrogrades, what they mean for us in terms of love, what they mean for us in terms of home life, financial stability, all of that good stuff, all that good jazz, and all the realness. So it's about to be lit. So while we're waiting for that to happen, let's talk about that fucking Cancer energy. Personally, I am a Cancer rising. So I have been feeling like I am drowning, right? My sun is in Sag, which is a very interesting placement in relation to Cancer. Ooh, is that my baby? Is that my baby?
Hi.
Hey, it's lit.
I think that you just can't see me because I don't think my camera on my computer works, is what I've just found out anymore. Because this MacBook is from 2011. And I think, because I just tried to go in photo booth and it's like, you don't have a camera.
How rude.
So, but I'm thinking, why don't we just do it like this and you can just hear me, and then for the next one, I'll get another camera. Don't you? I mean, I'm here in spirit. We can look at your beautiful face and your cards.
Girl, we can look at your beautiful headshot. This is realness right now.
Yeah, you can see my headshot. And it's like a real, like, I phoned in. I phoned in to give the astro, you know?
Absolutely. Okay, let's do it.
Let's just do it.
Yeah, so I would love for you to kind of talk while I shuffle, let them know kind of what's going on. We can definitely talk about the Cancer transits and how they're going to affect our home life. And of course, as always, you're more than welcome to ask any guiding questions you think would be great for them to know in terms of the cards. You know, I'm here to fill in the blanks. And we fill each other in. So
great. Okay, so yeah, Flo's working her magic. And so yeah, I'm an astrologer primarily, and as you probably know if you're watching this, we are in Cancer season. It started on the 21st, going to continue till the 22nd of July. Cancer is the first water energy of the zodiac. So with that, we kind of usher in the most raw energy of this water. It's a cardinal energy, which means it's really direct. It's very initiative. It wants to be a leader, even though Cancers have a reputation as being sort of introverted, and they do want to sort of carry their home with them. Like Cancer is a crab, so crabs carry their house with them, which is kind of an amazing symbolism. But Cancers are also really ambitious. So this is all of the things that we're feeling this Cancer season. And what we are sort of hoping to do for you is to illuminate some things you can work on to help both manifest what you want this Cancer season. Because again, this energy is super ambitious. Cardinal energy. So cardinal energy is Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, and Libra. All of these energies have a real ability to make shit happen. But with Cancer season also, we have a great ability to look inward, to potentially work on parenting ourselves. Cancer represents the mother of the zodiac. So, and any triggers that are coming up around that, any boundaries that are coming up. I guess my main questions are, in what ways can we use Cancer season to heal? With that, what do we need to release and what do we need to embrace? That's always things I want to know. And then as we go through, we'll probably talk about, there's some big things happening in Cancer season. There's an eclipse on July 12th. There's also a new moon in Cancer on the 13th, and Jupiter, which is also in a water sign, it's in Scorpio, goes back direct. It's been in retrograde since March, and that's going to go back direct. So there's a lot happening right in the middle of Cancer season. But let's just kind of see what the cards are saying for the collective for those.
So this spread is a lot similar to the one that we just did on Instagram Live. So it has kind of the same undercurrents. So the first card that we get on the top of the deck is the Rebel. So this card is very representative of us moving out of the ideas, the ideologies, and the mindsets that have been hurting us, harming us, and holding us down. This is a clear idea or representation of us moving out of the nonsense. So whereas in the last spread, the first card that came up was the Devil, where we're feeding into temptation, we're feeding into lower habits, lower energies. This card is a very similar energy, but it's showing us breaking the fuck up out of there. So it's allowing us to kind of recognize and acknowledge these are not things that we need to embody in ourselves. These are not places we need to be. And these are not things that we need to reenact in our character, right? So, ironically, last time we were talking about how we keep getting the Hierophant card, how we keep getting
the Hermit.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
And the Hierophant. Yes, both.
Yeah. And I meant, you're completely right. I meant the Hierophant, and you psychic as hell because I didn't even. But yeah. So this this is the Hierophant.
Oh yeah.
This was on deck.
It's Dumbledore, y'all.
Yo, you're totally right. It's totally Osho, but Osho Dumbledore. Osho.
Yeah, same thing. Guru, teacher.
Cousin, bumblebees. So this is really a representation of us acknowledging that we have all of the answers. It's all just covered in this psychic sad muck. You mentioned earlier about how Cancer is the energy of the mother. As we all know, there's a severe lack of healthy feminine energy out here, and a lot of us have that issue with our mother. So one of the wonderful things that we can do to heal is spend more time mothering ourselves, spend more time with our actual mothers if it's possible, really regrouping and recognizing how our relationships with the mother figures in our lives have shaped us. And kind of acknowledging a lot of us have that feeling of lack in that part of ourselves. And in a lot of ways, I feel like the collective sabotages ourselves in a way that feels like nurturing. So a lot of us have been prone to over drinking, overeating, overspending, over, and trying to overcompensate for things that we feel we were not given, or things that we feel are shifting inside of us. Not all of us are aware fully of what we need. So we'll go to the quickest thing that'll give us that gratification. What's going to be really important in terms of recognizing that is that just because other people are doing it doesn't mean that we should be doing it. And just because other people seem to be having fun doesn't mean they aren't suffering too. In the last spread that we did, we were talking about how there's definitely going to be an air of jealous energy over the next couple of weeks. Not to be shady, but this is a thing that I notice a lot with Cancer. Sometimes there's that innate sense of, meow, like, why am I not this? Why am I not that? Remember your brilliance. Remember you're great. The normal depiction of this card is a man who just won a battle, and he's kind of looking over victoriously like, ha, peasants, I have won, you have failed. But you never know if they're going to come back and have something for that ass. So just remember that the decisions you make at this period, out of your anger, out of your spite, out of your lust, because the Mars retrograde, all come back. And if you're acting on that pain in a way that's not revitalizing you, rejuvenating you, bringing you joy, then it's most likely to come back karmically in a way that's not very healthy. And also remembering that that intertwines with Mercury retrograde, and the fact that it can happen a little bit more rapidly than we might think, even though there are a ton of retrogrades. Very important to know, right?
Yeah.
So the main thing, or the main lesson at the end of this spread, towards the end, is slowing down, right? So this is a card that lets us know that it is okay to take our time. I feel this vibrating very strongly from the pit of my tummy. It's very okay to take your time, to be gentle. Cancer energy is above most things, very gentle, sweet energy. It's the energy that allows you to nurture your dreams, to dream. I very often like to see this sign as the star, even though it's typically represented by the moon. I feel like in its best states, it can be represented by the star. Faith, hope, joy, love, and the hope for a better tomorrow, right? So whereas we started here, with all of this okay. With all of this restricted energy, we can end here where we're just giving ourselves the time to be, right?
Yeah. It's a season of feeling like you need to do a lot, but in reality, we've talked about this, it's actually sitting and letting the waves hit you and knowing that some of the best work you can do for yourself is with yourself, in your intuition, in your mind, in your gentle spirits, you know, just sitting outside, sitting by water. Cancer also really likes friends and family. I mean, family is a theme. You know, I know you've talked about this, like who is your family, who is your tribe? Mm-hmm. Vibrate toward people that you feel good around and that give you as much as you give. Cancer is a real giver, which is one of the reasons it can feel jealous, because it's like, I'm doing so much. Why doesn't anyone recognize that? And, you know, you also have to be better, and I'm saying this as collective, like you, all of us, need to be better at voicing our boundaries so that people know if we can't give more, or saying I can't do that today, or I just don't have the bandwidth to do that. I don't have the capacity today to do this. But I love you, or I'm thinking of you. I mean, Cancer is truly such a nurturer. But it can get passive aggressive. It's also, so, like I said, it's so ambitious that it wants to make stuff happen. And it's always thinking about the emotional security, So what can I do to make myself safe? What can I do to make myself feel secure? And what most of us realize as we get older is that, I'm working through this right now, is that you have to create your own security. You have to create your own stability. You can't, even if you have amazing parents, and I hope everyone watching has at least one person in their life that's a parental figure, you know, a mother-like figure, even if it's not biological. But regardless, those people are here for a time and then they're gone, and you are all you have. So how can you mother yourself? How can you love yourself in the ways that you maybe felt lacking as a kid, or maybe you didn't get? This is all the things that Cancer wants you to engage with, and it is really deep. It's intense. It's not the light flow of Gemini season that we're coming out of. I mean, It's so interesting how the zodiac is comprised. We really go on this ride. You know, every sign is teaching us throughout the year, and this is an introspective time. It's a time to be with yourself. I always think of that idea of the Cancer, of the crab taking its home with it. Also, crabs walk sideways, which is really interesting. Like, that's kind of Cancer. It kind of goes around things if it needs to. So that can also inspire you. Like, if you can't go straight through something, you go around it. Like, there's this, I'm going to say one more thing. There's this Margaret at my Mercury in Leo is like, let's go. But there's this Margaret Atwood quote. She most famously wrote The Handmaid's Tale, but she's written a lot of things. And there's this quote she has about water, where she talks about how you are water. Water doesn't, you know, water can flow over things. Water can carve a stone, like it can carve into a stone. Water is fluid. Water changes. You are water. When you can't go through something, go around it. It's truly one of my, I feel you. It's like my favorite quote. I'll send it to you later. Maybe we can post it. But remember, this is water season, and we are water. Most of us, you know, we are comprised of water as humans, and water can flow through anything. It can go around anything. So it's all temporary. It's always moving. I find great inspiration from that in this time.
Water moves very, very slowly through things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Water is corrosive. You know, water will break through stone over time. And it's like, in terms of Cancer season, I feel like, especially for me, I'm not sure if this holds true for everyone, but Cancer season is the most emotional time of the year for me. So it's kind of like, I always want to break through all of the traumas I've dealt with through this season, because it's the most fertile time. But I think it's also important to remember that as we grow as humans, there becomes more to break through. And it takes time. That cycle takes time. And I feel like Cancer season is both brutal and gentle in the sense that it is like a mother, you know, it'll nurture you, it'll feed you, it'll clothe you, but it'll also smack the shit out of you if you're acting up, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like that divine balance where we have to recognize that these things take time. These things take a while, and that's completely okay. I'm gonna post that we're doing this live because I realized neither of us did that. I mean,
no, we were just so
me under doing a live.
Both are like so. We've said like we are so savvy and so smart and creative, but like technology is neither of ours.
Yeah, I think
go-tos.
I think we're just glad that it's actually up and it's happening.
Oh, hell yeah. Like, I'm just like, we're doing it. We'll share it, you know? Yeah, I feel all this really deeply too. I'm holding, as we talk, I usually hold a fluorite, and then I'm also holding a rose quartz, and they're both super hot. So if you work with crystals, something I'll always encourage is like I've had like crystals in my pocket when I'm out, and I've told like, oh, they're hot, like they're really working right now. And people are like, oh no, they're just in your pocket. I'm like, no. Crystals don't live in that state most of the time. Like this is when the energy is vibrating through them. So if you're someone who works with crystals, it's a great season to carry that rose quartz because yes, love, but it's also a great time to carry some sort of boundaried crystal, a black crystal, onyx. Yes, you can get all colors of onyx. I also really like tiger's eye because I feel like it's sort of bold, you know? It's bold and brave and
ambitious. Perfect for that Mars. Ambitious.
Yeah. This is all so good. I think maybe it would be great if we talked a little about what you can do to like boundary and protect yourself this season on that note, don't you?
Absolutely. It's very funny because the first card that I pulled for that is literally Three of Swords reversed, which is like, woo, that's intense. So the normal depiction of the Three of Swords is a heart with three swords in it, right? Yeah. So on the Osho Zen deck, this is what it looks like. You crying and all that, but it was reversed, right? This basically shows that in order to break the boundaries we have, we must break down. I mean, in order to create healthy boundaries, we must break down. We need to break down the reasons why they are there in the first place. So this is where that reflective energy comes in. This is where we have to ask ourselves, how am I responsible for the pain that I'm carrying? Am I responsible? If I'm not responsible, or if I am responsible, what is my responsibility to myself to learn about this, right? So whenever I think about this card, I think about the song Love Hurts by Incubus. You know, love hurts, but sometimes it's a good hurt. Feel alive, right? So the cool thing that I love about this card, when I first got this deck, I read all the descriptions for all of them. And in this deck, the suit of Pentacles is ruled by rainbows, and the tears are rainbows. So the tears are what melts this person out of the pain, the grounding, the moving out of the air aspect of it, the overthinking, the pain, the replaying the situation over and over again, the victimization, the parts of us that make us feel like we are spiraling out of control. So in order to set those healthy boundaries, we have to really be able to recognize that no matter what happens, we're going to have ourselves. So next, we get the Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles is the collective energy. It's the energy of a wheel that has been spun and is happy and has grown. There's also the energy of fulfillment. So recognizing that it does not happen overnight, and recognizing that by kind of moving more on the Hierophant energy, the energy where we listen to ourselves and we know how to kind of, how do I express this? How to double our luck, right? So the Hierophant is ruled by the number 5. And so really using about ourselves, what we know about the situations we're present in, will help us develop an understanding of how to get the growth that we want. In a lot of cases, it's going to take a lot of rawness. It's going to take a lot of recognizing where we have fucked up. So I feel like in terms of this, setting healthy boundaries for a lot of us is going to look more like caging our mouths, really. Caging the ways that we project envy, the ways that we project shame, the ways that we allow other people to kind of come into our own fortress. So healing card is normally like this. We pulled it reverse. So this basically means being more aware of the ways that instead of being coolly nurtured by the waters of peace, of kindness and love, we're just spitting it out of our mouths. And I don't mean in the way that a babala would. I mean in the way where it's like, we're just trying to wet other people with the shit that we don't want, right? So this comes in heavily with kind of acknowledging the ways that we can kind of project and share blame and make situations that are about us and our growth about others. So this kind of comes in again with the Mars retrograde energy, the energy of fighting, the energy of anger, the energy that can be used potentially to build ourselves logically, to build ourselves in terms of creative awareness. So keeping in mind that these boundaries come into play to protect us, but not to shield us from growth. Always remembering that. I feel that vibrating very hard. I feel like that's going to be important for a lot of you to acknowledge. Boundaries are meant to protect you, not to protect you from growing, not to protect you from healing, but to create that within you, to create a more fertile space for that, right?
Yes.
So another thing that we have to keep in mind in terms of that is that, again, this is not going to happen in the way that you think. These cards kind of go hand in hand. When the Eight of Wands is like this, the normal depiction is 8 wands flying across the sky. There are no people in it. It's just rapid movement. When it's reversed, it can be delayed. You know, a lot of the things that we've been wanting to do, the things we've been challenging ourselves to do, are running a little bit slower than we needed them or than we wanted them to. That is by design. That is because a lot of the things that we felt we needed are not necessary right now. This is the time where we have to focus on our growth and not be distracted by anything. So in terms of setting boundaries, I feel like a lot of us will set those boundaries to ignore the things that we should be doing, to kind of create a circumstance for ourselves where it's like, oh, well, I don't need this because right now I have that, and I can put off this ritual that I know I should be doing because I need to go hang out with this person or blah, 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 or I need to have this dialogue. So it's kind of like us cutting away from the self-sabotaging energy of feeling we need to do more dealing with things outside of ourselves and inside of ourselves. So I feel like the boundaries, again, we've been drawing the hermit like crazy. The boundaries have to come in terms of things we will and will not allow ourselves to do in the name of growth. So let me get a little bit more specific. Boundaries in terms of how often we go out and what we do when we go out. Are we drinking our feelings? Are we eating our feelings? Are we using those things as tools instead of using tools in our spiritual bank? Are we meditating? Are we setting healthy boundaries on how much time we spend by ourselves and how much we spend outward? If we fuck up and we kind of move outside of that boundary, are we going to blame other people for the situations that arise, even though our guides have told us, hey, this is what's going to happen? Or are we going to rise to the occasion and say, okay, I did this. I fucked up. How do I heal from it? How do I move through it? So I feel like the primary boundaries we need to set are going to be within ourselves, but are also going to be in terms of journeying. So for those of you who are interested or are already working shamanically, I would say now is the best time to go down, 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 down into the lower worlds and really see what's going on, what's popping in terms of plant medicines that are helpful right now. I feel like right now, epazote is popping up for me a lot. It's a wonderful, wonderful herb for cleansing digestion. Or
I've had so much digestion issues. Yes.
Epazote. And it's also great for helping us pretty much the same way that it works physically. It works spiritually. It helps us digest emotional issues, traumas that we hold in our wombs. Cancer is all about feminine energy. I believe it rules the breast, but feminine energy can also be
breath from the stomach.
Yep.
Stomach, yep, the whole front.
So it's really important that we cleanse those parts of ourselves, that we allow ourselves to kind of get that detox. Obviously, this goes for gender non-conforming folks and masculine-bodied folks as well. Really just detoxing all of the hubbaloo there will be very helpful, and it'll help us feel a lot clearer in terms of setting those boundaries, in terms of resetting boundaries and deciding, okay, these are boundaries that I don't necessarily need anymore. This boundary that I had about not dealing with this certain kind of person was more for me than it was for, or was more for my ego than it was for me. Maybe this kind of person was trying to teach me a lesson that I was not trying to fucking hear right now. So kind of just being aware of that and being aware of how when we open the floodgates, we can find gold, really.
That's so real with the releasing certain boundaries too. I said that when I talked on my account about the full moon. I said sometimes we hold on. Yeah, this is real. Sometimes we hold on to.
I'm sorry, my sister's dog is so loud. Every time my mom comes, she's just like, ah.
Oh, she's happy to see her.
She needs a muzzle so bad, I can't.
Oh. Dog. I mean, the thing that dogs can teach us is they're very present.
I'm going to mute myself because you should not have to deal with this.
Okay. So, I think dogs do teach us to be very present because every moment is like a new one for them. And they're like, it's great. I'm just in this moment, or it's bad, whatever. Like babies. What was I saying with, the releasing of things. So I did a live stream on Sunday on my account about the full moon in Capricorn, which is at 12:53 a.m. tonight/tomorrow morning, which will be the 28th, depending on when you're watching this. So the universe sometimes needs you to write down, say, acknowledge the things you have already done. Like the accomplishments you have done, the boundaries you have already done. It needs you to do that so that it can move on to other things and you can move on to other things. So that was coming up for me. So the fact that it's coming up here now, I'm like, oh yeah, we have to do this. This even came up for me with a pull I did for myself with the full moon. It's like some of these things I've already dealt with. There are certainly other conversations I need to have with myself. But I think sometimes we sit in this sort of repetition and this is something I learned from my therapist, but bless her, because it's like you always had whatever you needed at the time. If it's like a habit, if it's an addiction, if it's a obsessive thought, if it's a tendency, you needed it at the time that you were in to cope and get through, right? That's what, depending on where you were at in your life, maybe you needed that, but you don't need it now. So can you release it? You're in a new place. And sometimes the little like things that are attached remain, but I sense that's huge that's also at this retrograde. Mars retrograde is for sure about this. As you were saying, it deals with anger, but it's often anger with yourself. It's often really about yourself at the core, or realizing that the anger you've been holding on to is someone else's. It's ancestral, it's in your family, it's been passed on to you, it's been passed on by another partner, and you don't need to hold it anymore. You need to release it. That's so great what you said about the cleansing of the breasts and the chest and the stomach and into the womb. So many people that's where most people hold anxiety in their body, right? Is in the front part of their body, like throat, into the stomach. They have like digestion issues. So let's try to clear that out. Let's try to release some of that. Yeah. Are you back?
Yeah.
You were just listening so intently. I loved it.
Yeah,
or maybe you were speaking, but like I couldn't hear you. So
no, I was just listening because that's some real shit. I'm gonna start writing down all the shit you say because this is important.
Well, I feel the same way about you. I think that I will also say one more thing about the addiction. Yes, food, addiction to media, like social media. That's a big thing right now, and also addiction to sex. Mars deals with sex. So make sure, again, I said this earlier, you're having boundaried with yourself. This means have sex in whatever way and with whomever you please. Make sure you are doing it because you want to do it. Make sure you are safe in your own, that's your own conversation with yourself, what's safe for you. Mars can fuck some stuff up with this. It can bring back old flames that will tempt you. It's very King of Wands energy, right? Like, the sort of charlatan that comes in, and he is like, I feel like I know who my King of Wands is, and like
I just found my King of Wands, and he's actually a fucking fire sign. I was like, oh my gosh, why?
It was mine. Mine's an Aries. Yeah.
No.
I've learned
the emperor too. Shit.
I've learned the lessons the hard way, but like, so what we're talking about is there's this in the tarot deck, you know, often the court cards can represent people. They can also represent yourself, but King of Wands is like a charismatic, he's a charmer, he's vivacious, and you are swept into the storm of it all. But I will just tell you, with Mars retrograde, you may be chasing some fires that are going to burn out. So just slow your roll. We keep saying slow. This is like, even for temptation, as someone who for myself had for many years coped with a lot of my trauma by having sex and not trying to numb myself, essentially. This is a really important time to make sure you do it because you want to do it and it feels right. And it's in whatever, it serves you in whatever way you need it to in that moment. So I will just say, don't be fooled and don't be tempted by the people that may reappear. That's a big theme of retrogrades, especially with the inner planets. And Mars, again, deals with sex and drive and ambition and aggression, but like that can bring in some old lovers. So just, you know, proceed with caution, I think is my wrapping that up. Yeah.
Completely. I think it's also really important to spend that kind of time learning about new methods of healthy sex and of awareness of sex. I'd always heard the phrase dental dam, but I didn't know what the fuck a dental dam is until I did the research, and I was like, oh, I've always wondered what like the kind of like the thin.
Yeah, like contraception or protection for, yeah.
Yeah, like finding new ways to jazz things up. So if there's no one that you can have sex with that you trust, having more fun sex with yourself. And not letting that that wonderful energy go to waste, you know?
That is huge. Self-pleasure right now. Yes. Yes, 1,000%. Yeah, I think a lot of times we think of sexual liberation with a person, and I really believe it's with yourself. So yes, hopefully we find those partners that add to it. But
yeah.
I mean, that age-old advice, you have to know what you like and you have to know yourself to know it with someone else. Fucking, that's one that the moms say that's real, you know? Like, it's actually true. So again, if you're scared to have those, like, maybe this is time you just really explore sex with yourself. Sex magic with yourself. Woo!
Hold up, actually. Speaking of that, book I highly recommend, y'all. This is my baby. This book will make your life so much easier.
I'm going to get that. I just have the Sex Magic, The Art of Sexual Magic, like the one from the 70s. Oh, shit.
This is if you're trying to trap a nigga. Stop. I mean, it probably would work. I've never done that with that intention, but it just happens.
Oh, you know? My God. This is NSFW, and I'm about it.
I know, there's more, you know?
This is what happens when you get a Sag and a
double
Scorpio. Yeah, I'm about this. I mean, if you don't know what sex magic is, hit one of us up, Google it. This shit is real. Everyone has the ability to create magic. Oh, yeah. Yeah, see, I have this, I'm going to just grab mine. Hold. Oh, you can't see it. I forgot that I wasn't on camera. I have The Art of Sexual Magic, which is, I think, from the 70s. But I like Urban Tantra as a title. I'm into it.
Yeah. What I love about this book is that it's so open to all different genders, sexualities, all of it. Very inclusive language, very, very real, very now. It talks about breath work for the self, breath work with a partner, how to have like an orgasm just by doing nothing. It's literally the art of Tantra, the art of the breath. So it's like, I use this for everything. There'll be times where I'm working out. I feel like I'm about to pass out and I'm just like, yo,
yeah,
heart breath. And I'm literally like running on a treadmill having an orgasm. It's amazing. And it's necessary. So Mars retrograde, it's that healthy energy. Make it happen. It doesn't have to be, it's sex. No, sex is every moment, you know?
It is.
Says the Scorpio cusp, Venus Scorpio.
Yeah, and it's reminding us that we're alive. I mean, seriously, that's why it's so powerful for people. I really believe, yes, and it also can create life. That's also very powerful. But, you know, that's why sex on your own is showing you that you can feel things, you can connect. It's spiritual. You know, we've all known if we've been in the zone and there's like, you feel like you leave your body, we say, you have that, like, that's it. That's it. I hope people have sex after watching this. Just tell us if you do. Send us the deets. We're both, I mean, I'm a little bit of a voyeur, so I'm into it. Tell me what's going on. Great. Was there anything else we want to talk about? I feel like I'm going to watch this back and get some tips myself. This has been a really good one. I mean, they always are, but.
Always. Let's do one more general spread. Just see what Spirit wants to bring up.
Let's get some.
Get in the receptivity card again. Cool. Great. Cancer's a feminine sign, right?
It is.
Makes sense. Okay. All right. Dope. So the first card that popped up the same way it was when we were doing it on Instagram Live is receptivity. Be open. Be open to receiving guidance at this time. Be open to receiving the gentleness, the sweetness, but also be open to taking in all the magic of what's going on around you. I believe the depiction, I believe the actual card this represents is the Queen of Cups. So being open to the feminine, sweet energies that are presented to you, being open to the emotions that come out of you and let them move through you, really. I think the biggest part about Cancer season that is very difficult for people is coping with the sense that we do not have control.
Oh, yeah.
It is not our job to be in control of our emotions. It is our job to let them flow through us. Energy and motion. Let them move through us. Let them teach us what they got to teach us so they can dip, you know? It's not like, you know, with a plant. You're not sitting there like, can you grow? And it's just like, can you move out my fucking face so I can do what I got to do? Like, just let them rock, you know, let them chill. Let yourself be nurtured by the sun to dry up those emotions when they're done moving through you and nourishing you and nurturing you in ways that they can. You'd only see it as a fucking, as a, you know, when there's mad rain or some shit, you'd only see it as a flood if you're not giving yourself the proper tips to deal with that moving through you and then letting the sun come up and like take the rest, if that makes sense. So giving yourself the chance to do that and using your emotions as a mechanism, as a way of learning, like, okay, I'm feeling all of this so deeply because this is me showing myself that I love myself. And I've been complaining about this issue for so long that now it's time for me to really break the chains. It's time for me to move out of all of these habits and flow through them. Something I like to practice is breathing when I'm really upset, breathing or trying to be aware of my breath in every moment, because when I'm more aware of my breath, I'm more aware of the things that I'm responding to or the ways that I'm reacting. If I'm not reacting, I'm more conscious of myself, my surroundings, and my actions. And I'm more present with how I'm moving on what I say I want to do. So the more aware I am of my emotions, the more aware I am of, okay, so before yesterday I said that I'm tired of hurting myself. I'm tired of repeating the same mistakes with men. But if I send this dude this text that's kind of risky, I'm going to do the same thing. Just being aware of myself, being aware of how I'm playing into my own bullshit and how I complain about it later. So I don't complain about it later. So I do that thing in the moment so I can feel better. And it's kind of like you're resuscitating yourself. It can be very easy to feel like you're drowning in Cancer season. But when we take control of our actions and we're present with ourselves, we give ourselves a sense of hope. We give ourselves a sense of kind of repeated healing. What I love about this card is that the leaf right here.
That's beautiful.
Looks kind of like this little plant I have right here. This is my baby. I think it's a moonflower.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, moon, Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon, baby.
Wow, it's happening.
And the only sign that, I say that is ruled by the moon. The only sign.
That's why it's so fucking crazy right now.
I know. Bless our hearts.
God bless y'all. Seriously, y'all deal with it. I think it's also really important to check on your Cancer friends, because if you think you're dealing with this right now, they deal with this shit every day. This is how it is to be. Like, my fucking rising is in Cancer, and I feel this shit already. What? I feel like 18 different fucking people most of the time.
Yeah, those especially if you have a Cancer moon, Lord. Lord.
Cool.
The one you pulled before is the devil, essentially the devil card, right?
Yeah.
So they always think with the devil, like if you look at the traditional, like the Rider-Waite tarot, the chains are not tight on those people.
They're not.
They can take those chains off anytime they fucking want. And that's what that card's saying. I'll also say it's a sex card. It can represent sex, which we were just talking about. But I always say you can take the chains off. I was pulling that a lot earlier this month, and I kept writing in my journal, take off the chains, take off the chains. You can take them off anytime you fucking want. But you said, then the temptation comes in and you're like, I can still sort of handle this. I'll dip in a little, which I did for so many years. I was like, I'm through with this. And then I'd be like, oh, this little bit won't hurt me. Oh, shit. But you can do it. You can take it. But sometimes it means you have to go cold turkey. Sometimes you don't have to. It depends on the situation. But I always think of that with the devil. People are so scared of that card. I'm like, no, like you can walk out of this anytime you want.
It's so funny because I vividly remember a period where I was like in the middle of getting back with my ex, and I pulled the devil card, and I was like, oh, I wonder what this is about. And then later, while I was having sex with him, there was a mirror, and I looked at him, and I was like, he looks a lot like this card.
Oh my!
He does. I was just sitting there like, yo, tarot getting too real, spirit getting too specific. I was like, drag me in real life.
Oh my God, that is so intense.
I was so tight. I was just looking at him, and I was like,
oh my God, I am shook by that.
Bitch, I was shook too.
You're like, do I finish this or do I?
Oh, I finished it. Oh, absolutely.
No, I would
be the devil if I didn't, Yeah.
I've had like mid fights during sex, and I'm like, let's just finish this because you want to
in both ways.
Yeah. All right, let's
keep going. So I think what's funny about the next set of cards is we got the comparison card, which is kind of like you're not being very nice to people, and then the receptive or then healing reverse, where it's like you want to be, but you're not doing a very good job of it. I believe this is King of Wands reverse. So this is definitely denoting a lot of y'all kind of pouring your feelings into a cup. Do not overdrink. Drink because you want to have fun. Drink because you feel good. Not drink because you're sad. That's counterproductive for a lot of us, unless you're going to do some deep thinking while it's happening. You can use hops as medicine. Maybe just drink a hops tea. Similar effects, but not as bad for your liver. Anyway, so one of the ways that we can combat all of this sadness, all of this crazy energy, is by having friends that love you and hold you accountable. I love Four of Wands just because it's such a sweet, powerful energy of camaraderie. Having friends that you can talk to and be like, listen, I'm sad. Consensually, just because we don't want to dump on each other. Making sure that these exchanges are support systems, meaning we support each other. We don't just expect the emotional labor and leave, meaning we don't hurt our healer friends, because a lot of y'all have been hurting my feelings, getting me tight and getting other healers tight. Yeah. Don't be that person. Do not do that. We're people too. We have fucking feelings, right?
And we can't be working for free.
Exactly. Like, don't be coming in. Oh, how do I do that? Do I look like Google? No, I don't. I'm not.
Right.
Really just recognizing that. And I think also, I'm sorry, were you saying something, babe?
No, I just said yes. I agree. That's so real. Like, you'd pay a doctor, you'd pay a therapist, you'd pay a masseuse, you'd pay an acupuncturist.
That channeling ain't free. It's not.
It's not.
It's do cleansings. So keep that in mind.
Money is not bad. I'll say that.
Currency. Another cool thing, we got double eights. Eights represent power. They denote structure, growth, obatala. White, clearing the head. All right. So it ends on this card, ordinariness, which is eight of Pentacles. So this card kind of shows us as taking the time and space to just be, taking the time to heal in ways that don't have to be crazy or scary or like karmically shit inducing. Really just taking the time to be a person, to be free, and to let these things come to you. So I feel like a lot of us think that our healing has to be either traumatic or dramatic. It doesn't be. It can be as simple as you, and acknowledging that you feel heavy. And so you say, let me go outside. Let me go to a park and sit by this tree that just feels like it has good energy. I don't have to do, woo! Huh. What does that mean? Okay. It can be as simple as not even touching the tree, just sitting by it and breathing and listening to the thoughts in your head and saying, oh, I've had this thought a lot. What's this about? And just objectively listening to yourself. Listen to yourself the way you would listen to a friend that is very sensitive, a little baby. Just be like, okay, I have these thoughts a lot and I still love myself and it's okay. Let's get to the bottom of this. In one of the books that I read to undergo Akashic Records training, it talks about how when we talk to ourselves, when we listen to ourselves, we can ask ourselves what exactly is wrong, what's going on. And sometimes when we're having an emotional outburst, we might hear our inner child screaming like, I don't want to be here and I hate this and this is happening and that's happening. It's very important that we just allow ourselves to go through that. And even if we don't have the tools to deal with that in that moment, just saying things might not be okay in this moment, but we will find a way to fix this. We will find a way to heal through this, and letting that vibration move through you, letting yourself rest assured that you're not going to hurt yourself. You're not going to put yourself in situations of harm. And of course, we're human. Inevitably, sometimes we do, but really just making sure we're kind to ourselves, that we're loving on ourselves, that we're being sensitive to ourselves, and recognizing our needs in those ways and just catering to them. I think sometimes we can be very afraid of intimacy with ourselves, whereas there are certain people who only interact with their deep emotions when they're on something, when they're inebriated, when they're crying and they're hurting themselves and yelling at themselves, but not doing the work to love on themselves in that same way. So making sure that you're taking time to be open to your feelings, to talk to yourself, to love on yourself, to just give yourself a massage, to work with healing essences, to really nurture yourself in deep ways, even yoga, even stretching. It doesn't have to be anything too crazy, but just being kind and slow with yourself will really help right now. So keep that in mind, y'all.
So good. Yeah, all of that's resonating with me. The being kind to yourself is huge. Cancers are really good about being kind to others, but not as great with themselves. So if we can try to turn that inward, which that I really feel that the Mars retrograde is, along with multiple other retrogrades, are trying to they're making us do, not even trying, they are. If you can do that this season, I think you're going to reap the rewards come things moving direct, coming August and coming fall. And I think what you said about it doesn't have to be monumental or dramatic, because it actually might be. You just can't recognize that because you're in it. But it can be seismic, right? Like a small thing can just have ripple effects. This has been so beautiful. As a sun in Cancer, I'm like feeling this so deeply. I'm going to rewatch this and write down some stuff. I hope everyone that is watching or is going to watch later lets us know if anything resonates with you too. I love doing these. I think that they're so helpful for the collective. You know, they're helpful for me. I know they're helpful for you. They're helpful for people.
Yeah, we do it, y'all. So definitely show love, follow me, follow this beautiful being Cassandra, and book us because we're great. Cassandra is definitely the person to talk to right now because of all of these fucking transits. It's so important to know what these transits are doing for you individually based on your own chart, based on your own experiences. So definitely get in touch because knowing what's going to happen and when is monumental in terms of knowing when to go, when to stop, when to make this money, when to write things down, when to seek and stalk or dream, and just be present with those things. So please, like, reach out because we're here.
And Flo is obviously, as you've just witnessed, your tarot queen. So when you have really specific questions or even general questions, you know, I feel like you'll know, but she's the person. I love sending people to her. She's so specific in her work. I'm sure when you watch this, you were like, oh my God, that's exactly what I was feeling or thinking because she's so tuned in. we really do, like, this is not fake. We really really do champion each other. It's real. So yeah, and I'll try to get my camera to work for the next one, but you know, you got to enjoy my voice. I did some like voiceover work.
It's the mysterious Scorpio rising. They needed that.
Yeah, you're right. It's just the voice. It's just the voice coming from beyond. And they get to look at your bright Sag energy, which is so nice.
I love you. Oh my God.
I love you too. Okay, so we're going to end this and we'll make it shareable. I'll get the link from Flo and put it on mine. And we're going to schedule more. So let us know if there's stuff you want to hear about, right?
Definitely. Hit us up. Let us know what works for you, what doesn't. Let us know what, even if it's something silly, like giving signs to characters on shows. Or,
yeah, we love that.
We love that. Give us anything and we'll make it happen if it's lit. And this has been the Freaky Flow. Lit.
Yes. All right. Have a great full moon in Capricorn and bye. Bye.
Bye.